So it finally came in. We've got the brand new 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M3 Max chip in the new Space Black.
Wow, holy cow.
You guys, I am so excited. I've been putting it through the ringer to see if it's really worth everything that they say it is. I definitely have some mixed emotions about it. I have things that I love and things that I don't really like at all. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's go ahead and find out if it's as good as it looks. So let's start off talking about the design. I already knew that I needed to upgrade, but when Apple announced that they were getting it in the new Space Black, I had to do it. Now the M3 Pro and the M3 Max models are the only two that get the Space Black option. So basically you can choose from silver or Space Black. And then the base model has the original gray and silver option. Now I was kind of hoping for the Darth Vader of laptops, but honestly, I'm kind of disappointed. When I first opened the box, I thought that they had given me the wrong computer at first because it looked very similar to the gray that I already had. So I had to go compare them side by side. You can definitely tell a difference. It is a lot darker, but in my opinion, it's more of like a dark gray. I don't think it's black at all. I know the lighting is kind of hard to tell with it, but if you compare it to my shirt is black. This is black. This is black. Not black.
I think you might be colorblind.
The only other semi-cosmetic upgrade that we get is a higher nit count. Other than that, there's no changes to the design. You get the same screen, keyboard, microphone, and camera. So it did also come with the black charger. Now, Apple claims that it's also fingerprint resistant, and yes and no. I mean, yes, it's fingerprint resistant, but honestly, not by much, in my opinion. I took this with me last week as I was traveling for work, and I got fingerprints all over this thing. I don't know if you can see it in this lighting, but there's fingerprints everywhere. And comparing this side by side to the other MacBook Pro that I have, it is significantly less, but I still feel like I have to clean it constantly. Not gonna lie. It is still a stunning computer. The build quality on this is as you would expect from Apple. It's very heavy. It didn't really change in weight from the other 16-inch MacBook Pros. I'm coming from a 13-inch, so it is a lot heavier than what I had. I think it's about 1.5 pounds heavier, which is a lot, but it's still manageable to carry around. It's just gonna take a lot of getting used to. I was also hoping to get a larger keyboard as I'm getting the largest MacBook Pro option they have, and that did not happen. Apparently it stayed the same as last year's. I think you need at least a 17-inch to get a full-size keyboard, which I'm not really sure why Apple hasn't done this yet.
Come on, guys.
The size of the screen is the same as the previous 16-inch MacBooks, but coming from a 13-inch, the real estate on the screen is everything. I'll show you the difference coming from my 13-inch to this. The 13-inch that I had, I feel like majority of the screen, not majority, but I feel like a lot of it was the border. So you didn't really get much screen space on it. But what I love about this is there's no wasted space. Everything on this screen is screen real estate that you can utilize. And I love that. I was just kind of putting it through the test to see what it can handle, and I'm impressed. It didn't lag once. It never gave me any issues at all. It runs incredibly smooth.
Glassy smooth. It's like two Patrick Stewarts. You know what I mean?
To be quite honest, I did buy the computer just to review it, and after the first day of using it, I already decided to keep it. It was a tough decision, but every day that I used it and every program that I used, every task that I did with it, I just fell more and more in love with it. I'm on it all the time, and I don't want to give it back.
You can't have it.
So I've been rocking the M1 13-inch MacBook Pro since 2020, and let me tell you, it's been one hell of a ride. I mean, the little guy has held up surprisingly well with everything that I've put it through, but there's been days that I've been ready to chuck this thing across the room, especially when editing. Everything that I did on my old computer would give me such a hard time. It limited me on what I even really wanted to do on my computer. So now that I can do it without it hesitating at all, it's game changing. We've made it a long 3 years together. It's just time to part ways.
Why do you have to say it like that? We'll part ways.
I truly think after having the base and the Pro version of the M series, I really think the Max chip blows everything out of the water. Even when I've been editing my videos, I do a ton of color grading, ton of audio corrections, and not a single lag. And I'm talking zero disruption at all. Like, editing was a breeze. I'm so excited. Now, I have noticed that a lot of people have been saying that they don't need to upgrade from the M1. The M1, the M1 Pro is gonna see a significant difference, but apparently the M1 Max chip is still holding up, even for Marcus Brownlee.
Dear Apple, please refresh the Mac Pro.
and I'm kind of kicking myself for never getting it, but the 13-inch Pro version was what I could afford at the time, and it got me through what it needed to, so I can't really complain. Now, I haven't had a chance to check out any games on it yet, but I'm really excited to see how it does with gaming.
My gamer tag is spoken in hushed terms of awe and envy.
So I wanted to talk about the battery for a second, because I know that was one of the things that they mentioned was going to be a significant improvement, and I don't really see it, to be honest. I have tried to log every day that I've used my computer, what I've done with it, and what battery is left over at the end. At 6 p.m., I would get home and do about 4 hours of work each night on the computer. I was kind of shocked with it being on a full charge. I worked for 4 hours straight editing a video, and after that 4 hours, I was already at like 19%. I was just kind of thrown off by that. Maybe I've just pushed it to its limit, but I haven't noticed a huge difference. Day 2, I had a full charge. I hopped on to surf the internet for about 4 hours. That brought me down to about 40%. Day 3, had a full charge. Did about an hour of editing, an hour of downloading effects, and then about 2 hours of scripting and researching, and was left with about 60%. So that wasn't too bad. And then day 4, I had a full charge, did about 4 hours of work and internet use, and was left with about 56%. Day 5, I continued on with the same charge and did another 3 hours of work and had about 23% after that. I guess what I'm trying to say is it depends on what you're doing with your computer. Looking at the specs online, you do get an extra hour of battery life. I guess it just depends on what you're coming from. If you're upgrading for just the battery, I'd look into that a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I was just expecting a little more in that department, I guess.
I must say, I expected more.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the hefty price tag. These start off at $34.99 for the 16-inch, but you can also do the 14-inch Max starting off at $31.99. But also remember, if you have a Mac, they do take trade-ins. I was able to trade in my 13-inch MacBook Pro and I got $650 for it. So I'm able to justify it a little more. But you can also stick with the base model or the Pros, and you should be able to stay in that $2,000 price range. When it comes to who should be upgrading, it truly depends on your needs and what computer you're coming from. For me, this was beyond worth the upgrade. I desperately needed that extra speed and performance. And if for some reason these were postponed on coming out until next year, I wasn't gonna wait. I was gonna go with the M2 Max, and coming from an M2 Max, I think it's only about a 10 to 15% of an improvement, which isn't really worth the upgrade. But if people are still running on the M1 Maxes, the M2 Max should last you for a really long time. So in my opinion, if you have a base model or a Pro, going to a Max is going to be game changing, depending on what kind of workload you have. If you already have a Max, an M1 Max or an M2 Max, I don't think you need to upgrade. If you're coming from an Intel chip, most definitely, yes, you will see a huge difference all around. Battery, screen real estate, screen quality, the speed, performance. Again, I had the M1 Pro and I can still see a huge difference. It's worth it. Trust me. It's gonna last you a long time. In my opinion, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for Mac, because then users end up keeping their computer for that much longer. But then again, because they're so good, everyone wants one. So I don't know. But think about what you're going to be doing on your computer. I like to do a lot of editing. I like to run a ton of programs. I have a crap ton of web pages up at the same time because I'm insane. I knew I needed a stronger computer for those particular reasons. But if you don't do much on your computer, if you just do it for daily use, a little bit of research here and there, a little bit of shopping, you'd be just fine with the base or Pro. The Max is for heavier users, video editors, anyone with heavy workloads, or someone that just likes having a gazillion tabs open. The Max can handle it without breaking a sweat. But if you're upgrading just for the color, the aesthetics, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not even black. I have a ton of things that I do like about this computer. The amount of screen real estate that you get compared to the 13 or 14 inch, you're going to love, especially if you like to have multiple screens open at the same time, because I don't know how I did it on the 13 inch. It does keep some fingerprints off. So yes, from afar, you can't tell that there's fingerprints on it. Up close, I'm a little OCD, so it does bother me, but it is nice to have that extra layer of protection on it. Now, the things that I don't really care for, or I at least wish they did, I do wish that we had a full-size keyboard. I also was hoping for a longer battery life and for Apple to have given us a little bit better on the price options. The color is cool, but honestly, you could buy a black cover on it and no one would know the difference. Just remember that it is a serious investment, so just weigh all the pros and cons. I've been editing on my desktop because it's more powerful, and my thought was to get this laptop so that way I can edit outside of the studio if I wanted to go to a coffee shop, edit from the bed, couch. I edit for like 10 hours straight, so my back can't handle this for 13 hours. But I can honestly say that since I've had this, even though it's only been a week, I haven't edited once in the studio. I edit strictly from the couch, bed, or coffee shop, and I am obsessed. It's always nice to see who actually needs to upgrade and who doesn't. So let me know in the comments below what you currently have and if you plan on upgrading or not. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Took this...